And his bodyguards at this point are standing back there kind of laughing. So he turned around and said, y'all quit laughing. So he said, all right, ease up, I'll do it.
Rhomeyn, how many commercials have you done?
Let's see, it's been about 275 now.
Oh, you have the exact count.
No, not exact.
Oh, okay.
It's about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in what span of time?
Since 1984.
Oh, good year. Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
My first commercial was, my first national was 1984. And I did a commercial with James Brown, the Godfather of Soul. Ow! James Brown! I did that commercial with him, and we introduced Chicken McNuggets. They had just come out, and we did one of the first commercials for Chicken McNuggets. And I was in Chicago, and that's where I was living at the time. And that was my big shot, because I hadn't done anything. Like in Michigan, where I was from, I had done a local business school commercial that was really nothing. So that I didn't count that, but I did the McDonald's in 1984, and I was like so excited, and I was saying, I can't be this lucky. And of course, he showed up like 4 hours late. So I'm sitting there and I'm like worried. I'm like, oh man, I knew this was gonna happen. So he shows up and they have everything set up, the lights, the cameras, everything. And they say to him, the director, whose name was Sid Meier's, who was the top commercial director at that point. He said, well, I'm glad you're here, James. Could you go stand on your mark? He says, I thought I told y'all to call me Mr. Brown. I'm like, oh. So he immediately went and sat down on one of the little chairs at McDonald's, the little chairs, and he wouldn't do anything. So the art director from the ad agency came over. The director begged him, and the copywriter, everybody from the ad agency came over to try to get him to work. So I'm like saying, wait a minute. This is a national commercial. This is my first big break. And I had been living in Chicago for a few months, and I had no money, and I was like doing survival work. I was a painter and plasterer, because as a teenager, a man in my neighborhood was a contractor who owned a painting and plastering company. So during the summer, he would bring all the kids in and teach us how to paint and do that, and we got paid, a little money. And so I knew that kind of trade. So I got a job doing that. And so that was basically what I was doing. But I mean, I was there to try to become an actor and whatnot. So I said, well, I see this is not going to go well. So I went over to Mr. Brown, and he has his two big bodyguards standing behind him, and they looked at me. I'm like, oh, no, just want to ask him a question. I said, excuse me, Godfather. He says, what? I said, could you please, help us? This is like my first big commercial. I just moved here a few months ago, and all of us, we trying to make it like you. We trying to get ourselves going and everything. He said, well, I ain't doing nothing. Everybody always want me to do a damn shuffle. I ain't shuffling yet. And, he started talking like that. So then I was like, oh. So then I turned to walk away, and then I came back. I said, aren't you the Godfather of Soul? He said, oh, brother, come on. I said, no, wait a minute. I say, you soul brother number one. I said, when I was a little kid and we'd have parties, we couldn't get the girls to dance with us until we put on one of your records, which was really true. And the girls would dance with us, because, little girls don't like little boys and whatnot, and the boys are like, okay, I got to dance. So when you put his stuff on, everybody get up and dance. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, come on, Godfather. So by this time, the other actors picked up on what I was doing. They said, Godfather, Godfather, Godfather. And his bodyguards at this point are standing back there kind of laughing, So he turned around and said, y'all quit laughing. So he said, all right, ease up, I'll do it. Typical James Brown, like, how they put the cape on him and everything. Once he started doing his little dance and all that shuffle and all that stuff, they couldn't stop him. He said, get this. And the director said, keep the camera rolling. So they shot all of this stuff. But the interesting thing about the whole shoot was the fact that after every take, his wife, who was like his stylist, would come out and fluff and comb his hair after every take. So you can imagine we're doing like 100 takes. She comes out. And the thing is, what was so funny is, she had on this tight black dress like Morticia Adams. And she would come out like that, and we'd be standing there like, okay. And she would come out and do his hair, because, he had that hair, And she'd do that, and then she'd do a little walk off each take. So it got to the point where we were there all day. And so at that point, I didn't really understand the money aspect about, you want to stay on the shoot as long as you can. You want to get in there over 8-9 hours, because then you go into overtime. You get into time and a half, double time, triple time. So we were there like 14 hours. So I was like, man, I'm tired. And once I got the check, I realized that I made more in overtime than I made for the actual session fee. So that was my first experience. So after that, I was like, I want to stay on these things as long as I can. I mean, I'll wear myself out, but you get paid. So after the commercial, after we shot it, I said, well, thank you. He came up and said, yeah, thank you. I've been a little upset with these people. I said, oh, yeah, okay, I can imagine. So I said, is there any way I can get a signed picture from my niece? He gave me a signed picture, and he was really nice after that. So that was my first commercial I did, many years ago.
And have you ever tried to approach, quote unquote, this like A-level talent like that ever again? Or was that something, being green and just being human with him, it just happened in that one moment?
Well, no, I haven't done that since then, because I haven't really had a reason to do that. But that was a situation where I'm new in town, and I'm staying with an uncle of mine and his family, and he got these little kids that were just bad, like little kids, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get out of here. So I needed to get some money so I can get my own place. But I was thankful of my mother's youngest brother, of course. I was thankful for them to let me stay with them while I was trying to get my feet wet. But no, I had never done that. I mean, since then I've worked with a lot of big people, and I know actor and I know protocol. You don't say anything to these people, approach them anything. But I really didn't know any better. But I just came up to them because I was like, and the funny thing is, the ad agency said to me after that, the people from the ad agency said, we're not gonna forget you for this. Thank you so much. And, you hear that all the time. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. A month later, it's like about 150 degrees, because we shot that commercial in the summertime. And in Chicago, like the Midwest, when it's July and August, it's unbearable. The humidity is crazy. So about a month later in August, I'm in Chicago at my uncle's house, and I'm just, doing stuff around the house, helping clean up the mess of the kids, because they all in school. I'm by myself there. And I get a call, and my agent is like, oh, I'm glad I caught you. I said, oh, what's going on? You got to get downtown right away. I'm like, what? They say, you got to get down to Beth Rabador, to the casting agency. You got to get there. They need to see you. I'm like, oh. So I get my stuff together, and I don't have a car, so I get on the bus, get over to the train, which is the Dan Ryan, which is the train, and I catch the train down there. I get into place. I open the door, and the casting director runs up, and I'm sweating like a pig. She comes up, I said, what's going on? She says, they need to see you in there right away. So I walk in this room, and it's all of those people that were on the McDonald's shoot. And the art director, he says, we told you we weren't going to forget you. And the commercial turned out to be Crest toothpaste. And it was an award-winning spot where we lost the Clio, which is like the top, it's like the Oscars of commercials. We lost that commercial award to Where's the Beef? Remember the Claire Peller at Wendy's? That won everything. But we came in second to that. And after that, I started doing all kind of stuff after that.
Oh, for that company?
For all the companies.
Oh, wow.
I just started. Because see, the funny thing is about like commercials, once the people see you, like other ad agencies or other products, once they see you, they'll call you in, or they tend to want to use you, because the thing is, in our business, nobody wants to really take a chance on anybody. So, when somebody takes a chance on you, then other people say, oh, well, they took a chance on him. So, yeah, it's like dating, most women don't want you if no other woman don't want you. It's just how that is, So I started doing a lot of commercial stuff, and then I started doing plays. And Chicago's a theater town, It's like the second theater town. And then I studied at Second City. I studied, and I got to meet Bill Murray. Bill Murray's brother, Joel, was in my class, when I was studying at Second City. So Bill Murray would come into town from Saturday Night Live, and he would take us all to dinner and everything, because he's rich. So he would take us all because his little brother was in our class, and he would entertain us and everything. He was just as funny as he could be. Now, he's gotten a little jaded over the years. I mean, he's got a little different, but he was really nice. I mean, he's still cool from what I'm hearing. But, I met him. I met, at the time, Belushi was alive, John Belushi. I met all of them because they would all come back to town, and they would all go work out at Second City, work on stuff and play around and, hang out and stuff. So I got to meet a lot of people like that. And I studied improv over there for a couple of years. And my big regret is that I didn't go on the road. They wanted me to go on the road with one of the touring companies. But I was doing at that point so well commercially, on-camera commercials and voiceover, that it was hard for me to leave that money. I regret it to this day, because couple of the guys that went in my place ended up becoming, stars off of that. I was like, ugh. But, hey, you make choices,